Good morning, everybody. This is Jay Silva. We're here with Wesley Rosenberg, my co-host at the CEO's Grind. In Cleveland today, it is 0 when I was clearing my driveway. How's the weather, Wes?
It's when I came in, it was 3 degrees.
Outstanding. So we
And
are we're living the dream. I even have a picture of one of our Airbnbs in Cleveland. How he looks with all the snow. Um, but Wes and I, we were talking about something super interesting that happened last weekend in New York. Wesley went to New York to a convention to sell his Econo Sewer and Drain franchise. It is the first roadshow of Wesley Rosenberg selling this franchise, which is something that has been in the works for over a year. Now, we're not making a plug. Wesley did not pay himself or the CEO's Grind to advertise the franchise. But the topic here is the process by which you go to selling your franchise. In previous episodes, we talk a lot about, hey, how can we expand our business, right? Are we going to go in the direction of licensing? Are we going to go in the direction of just opening new locations? Or are we going to go in the direction of franchising the business to give you more freedom? Wesley went into the franchise direction because the way that his business is, how mature it is, and how the process is repeatable in pretty much any location in the United States, much easier for him to do that, right? A much higher rate of success. But doing all the paperwork and all the SOPs and all the interviews is all but 10% of the effort. The other 90% is going after the people to whom, I think that's the right way of saying, to whom your franchise product will make a difference in their lives, in their futures. And I'm going to open to Wes so he can give us a little bit of what he gave me in the background or behind the scenes of all that he learned and that we can use when we're doing the same thing or advising someone or just like trying to understand how the whole process works.
anyways, I went there with an open mind and a mind to learn. Uh, and the franchising is new to me, so I'm very green and I don't have all the answers. And I don't expect anyone else to that listens to us because a lot of us are new in starting businesses. But what I want to start out with and saying is that going to some of these expos and things like that uh, are very, very helpful for you, just not in just networking, but sharpening iron, getting different opinions, different ideas, different reasonings why people do things. And boy, did I get an education. The way I think and the way people have lived their lives and maybe failed or lived their lives and lived reality, and this is the way it really works. They gave me insight on a lot of different things. And boy, it was a mind opening experience. Um, One of the things I found out is, okay, we go there, we got leads. Yeah, so I met people, leads to people to sell my franchise, but I also met other franchisees that were selling theirs, and a lot of them were a lot more further ahead in the game than I am, and they were all really willing to share experiences and things like that. It was wonderful, very refreshing. But one thing that I really stuck out for was you get these leads and qualifications to own a franchise. Every time that a franchise or gets a lead, he's going to follow up with it, give them information, give them a proposal, and then he's going into more or less of a job interview. You want to qualify that franchisor or franchisee, excuse me. Um, are they financially stable? Do they have working capital? I talked to one of the other franchisors, and they said that their qualification is that they had to have $350,000 liquid cash, the franchisee, before they would even think about selling them one, and that they had to have a net worth of $700,000. Um, and there's some people that I talk to about like, well, what about franchising or not franchising, financing it. Depending on the person's situation, franchising could be an option. Some people were totally against it. Some people were for it. I actually am for it because you can get more people in the game. There's another two theories too. Not selling a lot of franchises and making them very profitable and holding their hands and making them very profitable or selling a lot of them and they make very little and you're selling by bulk. I would prefer the selling small and having them profitable. And the reason why is because if you can get these profitable, others will follow. They'll say, oh, it does work. They got 5 good ones that they have 5 franchises and they're all doing really wonderful. I want to be a part of that group. And that is that to me meant smart. Now, I thought that was kind of a bright idea. I think that if you buy a lot of them and don't support them correctly, and there are a lot of failures or a lot of them not making a
Let me say
decent.
this, Wes. Let me interrupt you for a second because I just remember a conversation I had uh, with a very good friend of mine who bought a franchise a long time ago, right? And I was talking to him about a franchise just as a model, not trying to sell him. I was just like, hey, look at this one that I saw. And he almost like dropped his glass as if I had like cursed, his mother that I brought the theme right franchise to him. Almost if I'm saying like MLM, right? The multi-level marketing. So my question to you, and I think that people would like to hear um, from your standpoint, right? What are the two main factors that you think that people feel this way about franchises, right? Or the failures of franchises? What are the two main things that and I think you were getting to that, but I wanted to just ask.
Yeah. So, well, a lot of the so anyways, with going through these qualifications, I talked to some of the other franchisors, and some of them had criteria of dollar amounts. And I saw that, but there's also different situations that come in play here. And that is, maybe the guy doesn't have that much liquid cash, but he's got a house on a lake and he's got a big boat and he's got all these wonderful things, all these wonderful assets that they could either be liquefied or we know that the guy's got enough money that he can buy all these toys. Maybe he finances it. The the numbers got to make sense on how much he's going to finance and what his profit margin is going to be, and can he cover all the expenses. Two of the biggest reasons I learned through other franchisors was two of the biggest reasons why they fail is one, they're underfunded. So in that case, I like the fact of franchising for someone who's seems to be financially responsible but doesn't have the liquid cash
Yes.
to franchise, as long as we know that at the beginning he can cover the cost of the finances or the money that he financed or borrowed. That he can cover that. He can pay his royalties and he can pay his working capital. He have working capital and pay himself at least something to feed his family. Now, people say, "Oh man, that's kind of crap, man." And I'm financing, I ain't making any money. A lot of people think, especially franchisees, yeah, it's a successful business. I'm going to be rich. I'm going to get a franchise. Don't realize that the work that goes involved in it, and that there
Right.
is work on their end to make this successful. And that's what, and and they don't realize that they're underfunded. Let's say because they finance the mortgage. So it's got to make sense that there's going to be enough profit there for everybody. And he's got to understand any business you start, it just seems to me this way for me. Any business that I've ever started or any business that's ever sold, they usually don't make any money for the first 5 years. They're getting their feet wet. They're building up their book of business.
Wait, wait,
Um,
wait, wait, wait. That I'm saying wait, not that I don't disagree with what you're saying, but I think it might be a little bit of an exaggeration that might say then why would I even open a business, right? Why would I do that? Why would I open a business if I'll make no money for the first 5 years?
okay, I'll give you another example. One time I was going to sell my business,
Mm-hmm.
and I had a guy that I was going to. I was going to sell my business. I was working with a guy who was a partner of mine, and I said when I retire, he was a lot younger than me. When I retire, I will sell you my business if he wanted it. And then he said, well, and I went and got a key. I got a key man insurance policy on him. In the event I died, he's in charge. Or if I lose him, then at least I get a payout to hire another rock star to take his place. Um, well, anyways, he didn't think I was going to die. And then I said, a part of the agreement, what I'll do is I will make him the benefactor upon selling so then he can cancel the account, take that money, put it as his down payment for buying the company. So well, that's not going to pay for the company. I said, what do you mean it's not going to pay for the company? He said, well, your company's going to sell for a bunch of millions of dollars, and this is only going to get me X, like $1 million or whatever. I said, well, it's not supposed to pay for the whole company. And he goes, well, why would I want to buy it? I says, you can't just buy a business. When I'm saying you're going to make money, you're going to make profit. But a lot of the profit money is going to go to paying off the business of startup costs. If you buy a business, you got to pay for it. So you're probably going to take a loan out and you're going to have to make payments on it. And when the payments are made, now you're going to start making the big money. You got to have patience in this too. And you got to look at this strategically and logically for the long game. And if you're starting a business, all the money goes back into the business anyways. So you may make profit, but the money goes back in the business. So when I say you're not making any money, I don't mean that. I mean you're not putting any money in the bank because you're reinvesting in your company to grow it, to get to a point. And once all those bills and payments are made, now you're going to start making the money. It's all part of the setting it up. And you know what? Banks only usually like to borrow money to companies like they don't give you 30-year mortgages. They don't give you 20-year mortgages. Why? For business loan? Because they know they like to give them to you for like maybe 6 or 7 years only. Because they know you ain't going to stick with it. If you had to make 30 years of payments before you start making any money or before you start reaping the harvest of your investment, your initial investment, you won't stick with it. You'll be banging your head against the wall for 30 years. No one wants to do that. No one's going to do it. So everything's always designed on a 6-year plan, 7-year plan, because they know that the first 6 or 7 years, you're going to have to make payments because you're injecting it back into the business, whether you're paying it off or growing it to a point where you can start making money. Does that make sense? Or start making money in the bank, put it that way.
Thank you, Wes. That does make sense. I asked um, purposefully, so folks don't think, oh, you're not going to have any cash left for you. You will, but it's just not going to show, right? Because
Right.
you are an employee essentially. So you're paying what you need. You're not taking profits that you need to invest to do, the expansion
Working
and
capital.
right.
I also found out that they say there's like two major reasons why uh, franchises fail. One is a lack of working capital.
The undercapitalization, correct?
Right. So we want to make sure that our franchisees are financially strong to withstand the storm of a startup. Another thing is if the franchisee wants to divert from the processes of the magic recipe that you sold them under the pretenses of your franchise in the first place.
Which is a great, great, great point, which is the process deviation, because the person that is disguised, right? I'm smarter than you. I can make your product something better, but you're making.
Lazier.
Correct. So those are the some big items, right? The two main reasons why franchises fail: undercapitalization, right? And deviating from the process. Now, undercapitalization, when you might say, oh, it's just I don't have enough money. That's not necessarily true. Many times when you start a business, you say, oh, I'm going to start with 50,000. Now you're going to start putting that 50,000 in different places, right?
Yeah.
Raw material, etc. It is where you spend that money that may make you decapitalize or capitalize, because you spent too soon on something that you didn't truly need, that weren't going to generate any value either for cash flow or for where your company needs to be. So that choice of what to do is so important. And that is why when Wes is saying, hey, you want to follow the process, a good franchise is going to have part of the process how much cash flow that franchise or that franchisee needs to have in the bank account and keep it, right, and have available. And it's not just that money. If you remember, Wes, when we were doing our project many years ago, that we looked both at the liquidity and your access to extra capital, because it wasn't just like, oh yeah, I have 50,000 in the bank account and I can make payroll. Yeah, that's fine. But do you also have a line of credit that allows you to tap into, right? Because all of that is part of the health of your business, not having to wait too long to get a loan, or if you have a breakdown, right? How can you go ahead and make sure that you have the other, uh, in the case of Econo Sewer and Drain, I don't know what big equipment you guys use, but it's the same thing, right? So those kinds of things. And you can also decapitalize yourself by buying instead of leasing, right? When you're talking about equipment, right? So, or buying a bigger truck just because you fancy to have a bigger truck in your fleet if your franchise requires a truck when you didn't call for that, right? You're going to, so you got to follow the process. So I like that part very much.
I'm going to tell you one of the part of the process I'm talking about. This happened to me when I was given that little tidbit of information. In my mind, I was thinking about my failures and where I failed in my businesses. I was like, well, that's why certain divisions are struggling, is because they came to me and said, yeah, I understand your process and everything. Yeah, I understand, but ours is a unique situation. Our trade is a unique situation. Like for example, let's just pretend in New York. I'm going to use, let's say someone buys a franchise and I say, this is how we do it. And he says, yeah, I know, but there's a lot of tall skyscrapers, so you can't stand 10 feet away from the door after you knock to step back so the customer doesn't feel threatened when they answer the door. But they're in apartments and the hallway is only 4 foot wide, so the only further we can stand back is 4 feet. Whatever their excuses is. Whatever their excuse is, because there's a unique situation, it's all bullshit. It ain't a unique situation. Follow my process right to the T. I don't care. If you have to move down the hallway from the door to be 10 foot away, that's what I want you to do. Don't just back up, move sideways, whatever it takes to get that 10 feet. Whatever it is, follow the process to the T and you will be successful. If you're not going to follow the process because you're unique, you're going to fail. That's why they fail. So, and it wasn't just like where your response was about buying the truck. Buying the truck. Let's say to get in the game, it took you $200,000. But what I considered was the $200,000 was, look, you got to buy a truck. The truck's 75,000. You got to buy a jetter. You got to buy a camera. You got to buy the whatever it is. But what if you could lease it? Maybe you could get in the game a lot cheaper, but it's going to take longer to get your money back. You know what I mean? Because you're sooner or later you're going to have to buy stuff yourself. You know, you're muted.
So these are all the interesting levers that you can pull to try to structure something interesting. Um, on a future episode, hopefully we can talk a little bit more about things that you've learned, and we touched a little bit on that. things that you've learned as far as making you a better salesperson, right? A more observant salesperson. There's a different, way more stuff to peel off. But I wanna lead with this question or transition with this question. Is Econo Sewer and Drain, the sales of this franchise, right? The target of five, your main 2026 goal? Is that what's going to say, hey, 2026 was the bomb for me? What is your outlook and how are you feeling?
These, when I went to this meeting, I found that this could be a lot bigger than I anticipated.
Mm-hmm.
But my goal was going in blind. I'm going to say I wanted to sell 10. This other gentleman said that I met, no, go 5 and really learn how to take care of them, hold their hand. And I get that, but I think I can do that with 10. I'm still going to stick to my goal of 10. And I will hold all their hands. But to do that, be a big circle. But what I realized too, I can do it if I structure this correctly. The business, the franchise, corporate company, if I structure it correctly, I'll be able to handle the 10 and hold all their hands. So that is my goal still. If that makes any sense.
It does, Wes. It does. Wes says, I will hold all their hands.
Yeah,
That's
their success is my success,
correct.
and I want them to be successful. I want look at my dog in the
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
There you go.
I want to I want these people to be successful. And like I said, if they make money, I make money. So I need them to be successful. I'm going to coach them the best I can and hold their hand in anything they need. You know what? When you're starting something like this, think about it. Think about it. You just threw in a bunch of money and now you got to make it produce. And
Right.
these people are scared. I mean, this is probably one of the biggest moves they're ever going to make in their lives. They always say buying a house is your biggest decision you ever make in your life. No, it's not. I mean, it's something like this where you're putting it all on the line and you got to make it happen. So lots of times people can freeze and not do anything and fail because of their fear. But if I can hold their hand and keep them calm and coach them, they'll be successful and just take baby steps and just walk them through it.
I will say thank you, Wes, for not answering my question of 2026, but that's okay. We're gonna
No,
touch
I
on that
said
later.
my goal is still 10
Still
franchises.
10. Oh, but that's your primary goal then for 2026 as far as all your businesses. I think I should have been clearer because you have the franchise, but you're also operating your other businesses, and you also had ideas of, after your trip to Brazil to hopefully create a group of people that are curating some businesses and finding different opportunities that you can sort of advise and let your money work for you. So I was trying to be a little bit more global. I understand. I'm sure people that are listening understand your laser focus on getting to the 10 franchises and doing that. But what else are you looking forward in 2026?
I'm looking forward to, I really struggled with my electrical division and I struggled with my remodeling division and being as profitable as I want them to be. Both of those I want to grow. My remodeling division, I want to work on processes. On the remodeling division, I'll work on process and making them work the processes because they were a unique group and I allowed them not to run it and it's proving that it's failing. And so now we're going to go back. There's no uniqueness about this. We're going to do it my way.
And
And
now let me. Okay, no, I'm not gonna go into the construction side because I had
yeah.
curiosities. No, so okay.
And then,
Um,
and then another goal is I plan on expanding Econo Sewer and Drain, not the franchise, the corporate, expanding
offerings.
their well, we are actually adding another offer to that company that we offer, and that would be a sewer lining
Oh, the one that is the sort of, I mean, it looks like it's putting a sleeve from inside out kind of thing.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is. And we have all the equipment just arrived yesterday.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, and now and we already have some on the books to do that. We like said we're going to be doing this, and we should get the equipment within the next 2 months. So these people have been patient, saying, okay, well, wait till you get the lining, and then you're going to do it. So we already have jobs lined up to do that.
Awesome. And that machine, how many jobs to recover the cost of the equipment? Do you know?
Um, I think about 30.
About 30.
Yeah.
And you already got two?
No, I think we have 7.
Jesus, okay. Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Um, very, very interesting.
Another thing we want to grow is we want to grow their territory. We want to grow their territory
You're just a little growing organism, huh? You just want to
yeah,
grow, 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 grow.
bacteria, a bacteria.
Oh my goodness. Grow, grow, grow. I
Yeah.
like it.
So those are all of my goals this year, and you know, let's hope that I'm successful at all of them. You know, but delegating and giving little tasks to each department head, and holding their hand through it, I think I should be able, and then it doesn't take a lot of my time. I make others implement the things I want to have performed
Right.
and slowly start sending it in the right direction. So,
All right.
how about you, man? You got goals this year?
I have many goals this year. Thank you for
Let's
asking.
hear. Yeah.
Yes, let's hear. But first, just reminding, this episode of CEO's Grind is brought to you by Studio House, where design, operations, and capital come together to build the next generation of boutique studio hotels. Now, 2026 goals. Cleveland or United States is to grow from last year. I think I should be very thankful that we did improve by 7% on just revenue year to year, and it was a tough year. So I think that was great, and we did that with more efficiency. Hey, doggy, are you trying to say that my goal should be to have a dog?
No, I'm just putting in there. I thought maybe bring some dog lovers to our webpage.
To our webpage, yes. Um,
To our podcast.
so in an Studio House is an example, which is it's a joint venture. I'm a co-founder of Studio House as a platform, and our goal is to build 100 units in Brazil. Right, we already have the first 6 underway, to be finished within a month and a half. In fact, we got something going on today there. So that's one, and I think it's very sexy. When I say sexy, very interesting project that I have 100% trust on the value that we bring, because we're using underutilized assets to create value in great locations. The consulting firm in Brazil, which is way more in its infancy, but it's acting in a really interesting way so far, because it's acting as a conduit of people like yourself, like me, like Georgie, and so many other folks that we have, met and that I already had in my network, that are looking for these gems, right? Studio House being one of them. There's another company out of the north of Brazil that does something with co-working, but in a very focused way to get companies to grow when they are in their infancy. So providing all that, all that support. So working on things that I like and that have a payoff. Even though, as you said, a business starting, don't expect to make $1 million, right, on the first year, but plan your capital correctly. Build your team with intention and patience, right? So that is the goal for 2026, and do all that while still enjoying family time, while still delivering on the family front, which last year I would say I delivered from a time standpoint, but not from being there standpoint, which is completely different. I can give you time, but am I there? You know what I mean? Or is my mind elsewhere? So I think these are very holistic goals for 2026, but I'm determined. The people that are around me, they are around me because they are determined too that our goals align somehow, somewhere. So I'm extremely excited to continue on the grind in 2026, continue growing the quality of product that we deliver. And communicating more right with the folks that watch us and bringing different guests. So I'm super excited.
Me too. Take care, everybody.
All
Have a
right.
nice, have a nice day, and have a nice week. We'll see you. We see you on the next CEO grind.
And stay warm. Stay warm.
We